particular, and I was able to observe what worked and what didn't. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some tips based on what I've observed of all the students across the primary 6 level. Of course, I won't say which class, I won't say which student, but I'll share with you some things that work, and I'll share with you some things that don't, and then I'll segue or connect to today's lesson and some things we can pay attention to, right? So it's 3:02 now. I estimate that I should be able to finish by about 3:40, 40 minutes or so. So if you all need to rush off at any point, please just excuse yourselves, send me a message on WhatsApp or in this same platform to let me know you're leaving, and then you can take your leave. There's no need to unmute yourself to tell me that you have to leave. Just go ahead. I will record the session and I will make it available to all of you. Okay. So as I was saying, primary 6, A, B, C, D, E, F, across the board, the surprising thing was that the students who were not very strong in English, right, actually managed to do better, right, in their oral examination. And that's a very good message for all of us, right? It's very hopeful, right? You don't have to be like excellent at spoken English to do well in oral. Okay, and this was what I observed. In fact, I gave a lot of students whose foundation in English was not very strong, like above 30 upon 35 for their oral. And if you calculate, right, that's like very easily band 1, band 2 already, just for oral alone, okay? So what was their secret? How were they able to score at the highest band for both their stimulus-based conversation and their reading, right? What gave them the edge over students who may have been better in English, but maybe didn't respond as well, okay? The key that all of them displayed was familiarity with some kind of structure, okay? Now, you know what I mean by I rope and trees, right? All of you, do you all remember I rope and trees? Yeah? Your teachers would have taught you either I rope or trees, and in some cases, they may have taught you both, and then they ask you to choose. Am I right? In primary 3 and 4, you would have done this, okay? Now, it's not that the students who did badly didn't have I rope or trees, it's that they couldn't remember it. And as a result, their responses were disorganized and very often underdeveloped, okay? So what trees or I rope will help you with is to develop your responses and also to give you an organizational framework to put your points into a very nice logical order. And I'll show you why this is important, okay? Because when you go into answering the question, right, the order in which you put your ideas is as important as the ideas themselves. Okay, do you hear what I just said? The order in which you arrange the ideas are as important as the ideas that you come up with. Both are equally important. So if you have very good ideas, but you aren't able to organize them in a logical sequence, then your ideas will suffer and you will not score the maximum marks that you can score if you had arranged them in a logical and in a sequential manner. Sequential means one follows the other. And for that reason, trees or I rope gives you that structure. And if you follow it right, you will find that 9 times out of 10, your ideas are very well organized and you will score for that. Okay, so what are examiners at PSLE and examiners in school looking for? Well, they're looking for 3 main things, and I'm going to show them to you now. Okay, so please remember, whenever you go into oral and you're talking to your examiner, right, they are listening out for A, your personal response. That means what you think, what you feel, your personal experiences, and things that you may have read about, heard about, or seen on television. That's what they're looking for, your personal response, the first one. So giving explanations, giving elaborations, and giving an organized view of your ideas is the first step to securing a good grade. What do I mean by explanation? Your reasons. So if they ask you a question, do you like this? Your reasons, your explanation would be your reasons, okay? And your elaboration would be your experiences with this thing that we are talking about, right? So later on, I'll go into an example, then you'll see this. But remember, the first point is personal response, okay? In other words, right, you really need to talk about yourself. You really need to talk about what you think of. You cannot just talk about the picture. You got to link it to yourself, right? They are listening out for that. Second of all, clarity of expression, meaning you must use appropriate and varied vocabulary and structures. Meaning you don't keep saying this is this is this is this is that is that is that is that is. If you keep repeating the same structures and you keep repeating the same vocabulary, you will be marked down, right? You will not be able to score the first or the second highest band in conversation if you repetitively use the same structure again and again. That is why I teach you to vary, right? Moving the verb to the front, moving the verb to the back, starting with an adjective or an adverb, using em dash. All of these are techniques we've learned either in writing or in speaking. And this is where you need to apply them. All good so far? Everybody clear? Boring is bad. Variation is good. The more types of sentences you use, the more different types of vocabularies you use, right? The same idea expressed in different ways, the better your language score will be, right? The higher the band for your stimulus-based conversation for language will be, right? So the clarity of expression has to do with how well you use your vocabulary and how well your sentences are structured, and they're not all the same. And finally, the third thing they're looking for, and this is the most difficult, is conversation, engagement. In other words, right, you must remember that stimulus-based conversation, boys and girls, is not about delivering a speech. Okay? It's not a speech. It's a conversation. What's the difference between delivering a speech and engaging in a conversation? Any brave soul wants to venture a response to that question? What is the difference between delivering a speech and being in a conversation or engaging in a conversation? Anyone? Please raise your hands if you venture an answer. This is going to be the easiest question of the entire day. Okay, Meng Xuan, what's the difference?
Speech, like you have a script, but conversation don't have a script.
Okay, very important and very true. You don't have a script when it comes to a conversation. You don't know where it's going to lead, right? You can't predict what the person's going to say or ask, and therefore you cannot have a script and read off it. Very good. It's spontaneous, right? A conversation is spontaneous. Good. Very important. So even if you memorize a script for oral, you cannot deliver that script because the examiner is going to ask you questions and you cannot predict what the examiner is going to ask you. So very good, spontaneous. Isaac, did you raise your hand as well?
Speech is only one person to some people, but conversation is both ways.
Okay, the directionality of the conversation is two ways, very good. Whereas a speech is a one-way delivery, right? Usually the audience doesn't participate in a speech, right? But in a conversation with the teacher will, can, and must be asking you questions. And it can't just be one question, right? It will at least be 3, 4, or even 5 questions that the teacher will ask you. Now, how you respond to that question is more important than what you say. I say again, how you respond to the question. That means if the teacher asks you a question, then you ignore the question and you just talk about what you want, right? Do you think you will score well? I say again, if the teacher asks you a question, let's say, what's your favorite color? But then you're going to talk about your favorite food because you prepared about your favorite food. Do you think you're going to do well? No, because you haven't answered the question, you will fail, right? So the whole point about conversation is you must answer the question that is asked and any other subsequent questions that the teacher will ask you. And there will at least be 4 or 5. And you must react to those questions. It's spontaneous, it's live, there is no script like Meng Xuan said, and like Isaac said, it's two-way. That means the teacher will ask, you will respond, the teacher will ask again, you will respond again. It must be two-way like ping pong. If you are the only person hitting the ball and the ball doesn't bounce back to you, something is wrong. Everybody clear? In a good conversation in PSLE or in exams, right, it should be like ping pong. The ball bounces there, the ball bounces back. The conversation goes both ways, like Isaac said, and it's not scripted like Meng Xuan said. Any other features that come to mind? These are the 2 main ones, okay, that you all need to remember. So how am I going to measure your engagement? By how you respond to my question. And actually, right, you all should not panic. If the teacher asks you a few more questions, it could mean that the teacher is trying to push you up to the next level. So the more answer you give, the more reaction you give, the higher the teacher can push you. That's the teacher's job, right? To push you up to the next level, not to pull you down to a lower level. That's not what we're trained to do. All PSLE examiners are trained to ask more questions to help to lift you up into the next highest band. That is our training and that is our mission. We are not there to pull you down. Everybody clear? This is a very important thing to remember. Teachers, whether at school or in PSLE, are not trained to pull you down. They are trained to push you up. So look at their questions as the way to help you to boost up. Be happy that they are asking you those questions. Don't think in your head, oh no, they keep asking me questions. I'm in trouble. I'm going to fail. Don't ever think that way, okay? That's totally not what's happening. It's the opposite. Everybody clear? Because Mr. Pang has many students in the past. They came to me after exam. They are crying. They are very teary. They are very scared. Then they ask me, Mr. Pang, I'm going to fail. Then I asked them, why? Why did you say that? They said, oh, they asked me like 6 questions. Then my friend, they only asked her 3 questions. So I'm going to die. I'm going to fail. It's over now for me. It's over. There's nothing else. Then I said, how long did you talk for? Then they said, oh, I think I was in there for 15 minutes. It felt like forever. It felt like, I was never going to leave. Then I said, that's wonderful news. That means that the teacher loves you so much, wants to listen to you talk so much, that they keep on asking you questions and give you opportunities. You're probably closer to full marks than you are to failing, because they want to push you to the highest possible band and give you as many marks as they possibly can. That's what we are trained to do. Do you all understand? I'm recording this. You can use these words against me. Right? All teachers are trained to push you. So please don't be scared in the exam, okay? Don't be scared that the teacher is asking you questions. It's a good thing, right? If they're not asking you questions and just looking at you, that's a bit of a problem, okay? Then you should really come and tell me that there's something wrong, okay? So conversations are measured by engagement. The to and the fro, the ping pong ball, okay? So any questions here? Personal response, clarity of expression, and engagement and conversation are the 3 things that you must always be looking out for when you are talking to the examiner, okay? And you must continue to talk. Please don't look at the examiner and, in silence, consider their face. That is not a very good place to be. Try to keep the conversation going, okay? Now, another question that pupils often ask me, Mr. Pang, are we allowed to ask the examiner questions? What do you all think? Are you allowed to ask the examiner question? For example, right, let's say the examiner asks you, what's your favorite activity? Then you say, oh, my favorite activity is badminton. What about yours? What about yours, examiner? What's your favorite activity? Do you think that you should do that? Yes or no? Because this has happened to me before, It's happened to me in oral exams before. I see a lot of you shaking your heads. Some of you don't look very certain. Who is not sure? Please raise your hand. You need me to categorically answer the question. Anybody needs me to answer the question? Don't need. So you all know. You know that it's not a good idea, right? You know, okay? Because you are the one being tested, not the examiner. Please don't test the examiner. It's not going to be a good idea to make the examiner feel like he or she is under the microscope, okay? Because you are not in a position to assess them. They are, however, in a position to assess you, okay? So please don't turn around and say, hey, what about you? What do you think? Or what do you feel about this? Because if you ask that question, the examiner cannot answer you. You know why? Because A, they are not being assessed, and B, if they told you their answer, they are giving you the answer. They are telling you what is the answer, and that must never happen. So please don't put them in a difficult spot, okay? Don't ask the examiner any questions, full stop, okay? Now let's go. Now, trees, okay. I've already conducted this oral session with most of you, right? And I conducted it using the primary 4 oral picture. So today we are going to use a primary 5 oral picture, and then we're going to do this together, okay? I promise to make this as fun and as funny as possible, right? So, work with me. So just to revise very quickly, you all remember trees, right? You all remember how to start trees, right? I believe, I think, I feel, that, okay? Then the reasons, firstly, secondly, thirdly, lastly. Now, don't go beyond thirdly, okay? So firstly, secondly, thirdly, and lastly. Okay, don't go fourthly, fifthly, sixthly, seventhly, eighthly, ninthly, tenthly. It's very awkward and it doesn't exist. Okay, so firstly, secondly, thirdly are still okay, right? If your reasons go beyond 3 into 4 or 5, just say next, next, and finally. Okay, don't fourthly, fifthly, sixthly. Everybody clear? So you stop at thirdly, firstly, secondly, thirdly, next, then finally. Okay, finally will be your last one. Lastly or finally indicates that this is your last reason. Then experiences, I remember a similar activity I experienced. I remember a similar case. I remember a similar incident that happened. You can use the similar incident, similar activity, similar case, similar a memory of what you have experienced. You can use this stem as well. Okay, examples I heard from my friends, read in Straits Times, watched on YouTube, experienced in social media. You can memorize all of this as well, and you can come up with your own examples. If you cannot think of your own examples, look at the picture and draw some inspiration from the picture. It's okay to invent something. I say again, it's okay to invent something. Is that clear? It does not have to be something you actually really watched or actually really experienced. It can be something that you invent. But please don't invent something that you have no experience of. For example, if you have never played golf before, please don't say that you play golf. Is that clear? Because golf has very specific equipment, very specific techniques, very specific vocabulary that you will not know unless you actually play it. Likewise, if you've never danced a day in your life, don't say that I'm a dancer, right? Or if you've never played a musical instrument, you don't know music theory, please don't say I'm a musician. Because the teacher will ask you, oh, you're a musician. Can you tell me what kind of scales you like to play? Or what techniques do you employ in your instrument? Then you're gonna be caught. And you'll be exposed as not being familiar with that particular topic. Only talk about things you are experienced in. And rest assured, all PSLE topics, all exam topics in school are around things that you have experienced before. Like for example, just this last PSLE, right? The PSLE picture was P5 Chem. Was high elements, 2 people standing on a rope and then they are holding onto the harness. It's like what you all experienced in P5 Chem, right? Everybody experienced it, right? So it's going to be about things that you know about. They won't give you a picture of a person playing golf or tennis and then expect that you know how to play golf, right? That's never going to happen. Okay, Ken? Do you all understand? So don't be worried. It will be something that most of you have experienced either in school or, you've done it before at home, like reading a book or something like that. Very common experience, okay? So that's your examples, suggestions. Now, suggestions are not compulsory. If you cannot think of a suggestion, it's okay, right? But it's usually only if you can think of a way to improve a particular situation, okay? Or you might want to suggest that everybody does it. That's the safest thing. I suggest that everybody does this. That might be a possible suggestion because it's a really good thing to do, okay? So always remember to end by using in summary, in conclusion, in a nutshell, all in all. Please use that. Remember the story I told you about the girl who said in a nutshell? Remember that cute little girl, right? From a school I will not name because it's being recorded now, right? And then she was really, really tiny and then she had a very squeaky voice, very high pitched, and she said, in a nutshell, right? And then it was so funny, right? Yeah, but it being funny aside, it gave me a clear signal that she was done, right? So even though I laughed, right, I knew that she was finished. I knew she was finished. I can ask the next question. I don't need to sit there, look at her and guess whether she's finished or not. Please don't put the teacher in a difficult position of looking at your face and trying to guess whether you finish or not, right? Then you have failed. What you must do is tell the teacher, in a nutshell, in summary, in conclusion, I believe that this is a great activity that everybody should be engaged in. Full stop, done. The teacher knows you are finished. And then teacher can go on to the next question. Very nice. In Chinese, we say 爽快. Very clean, right? You know that this is the end. I'm happy, you are happy, we move on. Teacher is inclined to give you a good grade because you make it easier for the teacher to move on. Okay? So no delay of time. Please use a summary statement for every question you are asked. Okay? It's not repetitive. If you think it's repetitive to say in a nutshell, change in a nutshell to in summary or all in all or in conclusion. Just change different phrases. Okay? In conclusion, in a nutshell, in summary, as a result of this, you can use all kinds of phrases, vary it up, change it up a little, it's okay. But always give a summary statement so that the teacher knows you are finished. Okay, good. Let's move on. So welcome to today's picture. Please take a look at this. This picture is literally one of the pictures that appeared for the P6 prelim. I just changed it a bit. Okay, it's a picture of an adult and a child looking at a globe. Can you all see? Can see, right? Yeah. Now, there are a few interpretations for this. It's not as basic as you think it is. There are 2 broad ways you can see this activity. There are 2 broad things that could be possible. Can anyone suggest what you think is happening here? There are 2 different things that could be happening here. Can anyone suggest what you think is happening? Anyone? Okay, Anand, what do you think is happening here?
I think that the mother is like teaching the child about the different countries.
Okay, good. Teaching a child using a globe about the different countries. Excellent. That is one possibility. But there's another possibility. Who else has a different interpretation of this? Not teaching about countries. Arthur?
They could be planning to travel somewhere.
Very good. They could be planning to travel somewhere. They could be pointing at a place in a globe and saying, I want to go there. I want to travel there. I want to take a flight there. I want to have a holiday there. So the 2 broad interpretations of this picture are A, teaching geography or teaching about different countries on the globe. And B, it's about wanting to travel and planning a holiday. Okay, which one do you think is more valid? Or do you think both are equally valid? If you think that both are equally valid, give me a thumbs up. If you think that only one is valid, give me a thumbs down. You all use your thumbs up icon lah, you know, or you are, never mind lah, you don't want to use icon, just use your hand now. Okay, okay. So I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. I guess most of you agree that it is both equally valid, nah? Okay, but actually, right, this is about traveling, because later the other questions you will see is all about traveling. Okay, but both are perfectly fine. In the case of preparing the child to learn about different countries, right, you must say in a different way. In the case about planning for holiday, you must say in a different way. Okay, so now I give you all some time to think about this. Okay, if you got this picture, right, and the question is, how do you think the people in the photograph are feeling? Okay, you need to answer that question first, right? You have to answer their feelings before you talk about what they are doing. But don't forget to talk about what they are doing. Many students just answer the question, right? I think they are feeling this way, full stop. If you stop there, you will not do well. Do you agree with me? Right? Because it's too short already. You always need to talk about what is happening. I don't care what the question is. They could be asking you about how do they feel? Well, you know, what do you think, you know, their feelings are? It doesn't matter. You must always talk about what is going on. And I'll show you how to do it. But take a look and think first. I give you 2 minutes. Okay? How would you answer this? In your mind, try to structure your answer. Then I'll demonstrate to you, okay? Then you tell me whether I missed anything or you want to add anything. Okay? So your thoughts could be A, mother teaching child about geography. And countries of the world. And if you use this, you can give experience of similar lesson. You can give examples of countries you learn about. Which subject teaches you about countries in school, boys and girls? Which subject? Sigma, which subject?
Social studies.
Yes, thank you. Right, here is where you might want to bring in how you learn about different countries in social studies, okay, and how social studies teaches you about cultures, languages, you know, even things like geography, right, rivers and all of that, okay, so that's in social studies. Or it could be about planning a holiday, in which case it's mother and child. Again, you can talk about your personal experience planning for a holiday. Now, can I ask you, in the case of, let's say, for example, what happens if you have never gone overseas for a holiday? Let's say if you've never gone overseas for a holiday, you've never traveled, or you've never planned a holiday, then what should you respond? Anyone? What should your response be if you've never planned a holiday or never been overseas? Arthur? Then Anand later.
Give your friend's experience.
Okay, right. Then you can say that I have never experienced the similar, but I've heard from my friends. Okay, good. You can use your example to cover up your experience. Good. Anand?
I wanted to say the same thing.
Okay, good. So remember, your 2 E's can cover for each other. If you cannot have one, you can have both, right? You can use the other one to cover for the earlier one that you don't have. But try to use both, okay? Try to have your own personal experiences. Then use example as a contrast, you know? Maybe your friend had a different experience. Or maybe you read or watched a different experience on YouTube or on social media, okay? So use experience and example as contrast. You experience this way, maybe your friend experienced a different way. That gives you more variety. And remember, variety is better than boring, okay? Difference is better than everything the same. So that's kind of the point I wanted to bring across. Okay, so in case you don't have that experience, you can always cover up with examples or what you heard. Okay, now, what kind of suggestion might I give of this picture? So after you talk about your feelings, then you talk about what's happening in this picture, right? Then you talk about your examples, experiences and examples. What kind of suggestion might you give to this picture? Remember, it's to the picture. Anyone? Anybody wants to suggest what kind of suggestion I might give to improve or to suggest to other people based on what I see in this picture? Martin?
Traveling can help you to learn more about different countries.
Okay, I might suggest that everybody travels so that they can learn more about different countries through traveling. That's a possibility, right? And any others? Any others? I think that's a pretty good one. All right, I think that's pretty good. So if you're talking about traveling, okay, that will be your suggestion. But if I'm talking about learning about countries on the globe, right, then I might also want to say that I suggest that everybody buys a globe, right, so that they can learn about the positions of different countries, right, all over the world, right? I suggest that everybody has a globe at home. By the way, do you all have a globe at home? No, right? I don't think many of you do, right? Why do you not have a globe at home? Why? Do we need globes anymore these days? What has replaced a globe? Huh? Stephanie, go ahead. What has replaced the globe?
Google Map.
Google Map, yeah. So, you know Google Map, right? Have y'all visited Google Map before? How many of you have visited Google Map? Yeah. Now, you know, if you zoom out of Google Maps, you zoom out, it becomes a globe, you know. Have you ever tried that? You know, your mouse scroll wheel, right? If you scroll, then you go outwards, you go further and further away from Singapore. At first it will show you Asia, then it will show you like the part of Asia we are in, then you will go up there. At the highest zoom setting, it will be a globe. You will actually see the entire world represented as a globe. So that globe, the Google Map globe, has literally replaced. You can say that, right? You can say that, right? You might also want to say that nowadays we don't have, I suggest that, you know, instead of buying a globe, right, we might visit Google Maps and we might use the function of Google Maps to show the world, because Google Maps will enable us to not just know the names of countries, but also have pictures, right, of those countries by zooming into Street View. Have you heard of Street View before? Right. Do you know that you can like zoom into a particular location? You can click on Street View and it can show you literally the picture of that particular street, right? Even down to the people standing in front of the house, right? Sometimes they take a picture of people actually standing outside the house or walking past, right? It's to that degree of accuracy. Can you do that for a globe? Cannot, right? You can't like pinch and zoom a globe and then go in and then look closer and closer at something. So there are limitations to that. So I want y'all to always bear in mind that technology has replaced a lot of things, and you can always bring technology in. Talk about Google Maps, talk about social media, talk about messaging, talk about mobile phones. You know, if you are ever talking about a topic, think about how technology has changed it. Okay, that's always something you can add in terms of your suggestion. Okay, how has technology changed it? Under your suggestions. Okay, so let me just demonstrate very quickly how I would answer this question before we move on to the next one. Then I'll listen to some of you for the second question. Okay, so first question. Are you ready? I'll just say very quickly. And when you listen to the video back again later, you can slow me down. Okay, so how do you think the people in the photograph are feeling? Why? I think the people in the photograph are feeling ecstatic. They're excited. They're extremely engaged because they are looking at a globe and they are planning for their future holiday. The girl on the left appears to be a primary school student. She looks like she's in her 10 or 11 years of age. And the lady on the right of her appears to be her mother. It looks like they are both looking at an area in a map and thinking about which is the most suitable location for their next holiday adventure. Looking at the map, it seems like they are examining Europe. Of course, that's not true. I'm just saying it, okay? I'm just saying it. It looks like they're looking at Europe. And I know there are several countries in Europe that I would like to visit. I remember 3 years ago, I went to Germany and I visited a town called Munich. And there were beautiful Christmas markets there. And I remember buying wonderful toys and Santa gifts for my friends back in Singapore. I heard from my friend that he visited the similar Christmas market, but in a different part of Germany. And it was snowing so heavily that he almost got buried in the snow and froze to death. Thankfully, he was wearing a thick coat and he was rescued by his parents, and they managed to drag him out of the snow and pull him to safety. I don't want to be in such a situation, and I hope I never get buried under the snow when I go to a country that is heavy, that has heavy snows. I suggest that everybody should at least travel to a country that is far away from theirs so that they can experience how different people live their lives in different countries. For example, like in Europe and America, countries that are very far away from us in Singapore. In conclusion, I believe that the people in this picture are enjoying themselves tremendously, planning for their holiday, and I would like to do the same with my parents. Okay, did you manage to track my TREES? I know I was going very fast. Did you hear me saying I would like, I believe that they are feeling ecstatic? So that's the T, right? Right, I think, I believe that they are feeling happy, ecstatic, right, excited about planning the holidays. Reasons, what were their reasons, right? Because they were excited about planning for their holidays together and they were looking forward to spending some time. And then the E, right, their experiences, my experience, right? I had a similar experience. I went to Germany. And then the E, right, example, my friend, right? My friend also went to a different part of Germany and then experienced it. And then I talked about his experiences. Then S, right, suggestion is like people should travel to a country far away from their own so that they can experience a life of people who are not living close to them. So can you see TREES, right? Now, if I were to talk at a normal speed, this would probably take about 10 minutes. What you should be prepared for is that your teacher will interrupt you and ask you a question. So for example, if I'm talking about the Christmas market, then I'm talking about how my friend almost got buried in the snow. Right? Remember I talked about that? I said that he, the snow was very heavy and then he almost got buried in the snow. Thankfully, his parents pulled him out, right? Then the teacher might stop him and ask him, oh dear. So in the end, was your friend traumatized by what happened to him? Or, did your friend get fearful of snow after he was almost buried underneath the snow? Then what should you do when that kind of question is asked? Should you ignore the question and continue with your story? Cannot, You must always respond to the question, So let's say the question is, what was your friend's reaction? Was your friend fearful? You might want to say, yes, right? After that, right, he refused to go out of the house whenever it snowed. And he developed a phobia of snow, right? What's the phobia of snow? I don't know, snowophobia or whatever, okay? Go and find out what's the name for he developed this condition, he was afraid of the snow. And every time, right, it snowed in Germany while he was there, right, he would cry and then he would hide in his room, right? On the other hand, I have no such phobia. I love playing with the snow. I like building snowmen. I like knocking them over. I like getting into snow fights with my family, and I like throwing snowballs at them and getting snowballs thrown at me. It's the most fun I've ever had in my life when I was there. That kind of stuff, right? So you talk about, you respond to it, and then you try to remember using your trees to respond to that question as well. Okay, right? I like it because why was it? But my friend was scared because what happened to him? But I'm different. Clear, everybody? All good? So trees, now let's go to the next question. The next question is always, so the first question is always about how do you think the people are feeling? It's always about the picture. You must talk about the picture. Notice I talk about the girl, I talk about the mother, I talk about the globe, I talk about everything in the picture. Always talk about the picture, okay? Next one, not about the picture anymore. Next one is going to be about you. Okay, so next one. So tell me about a new place you visited. Okay, so is it still about the picture? No, it's not about the picture anymore. So by right, I can delete the picture. Okay, this is all going to be about me. So this is going to be about me. Okay, so think about this. Now, when I ask about a new place, must it be a country? Can it be Resorts World Sentosa? Can it be Universal Studios? Can it be aquarium? Can be library, can be any new place. It does not have to be a country. Even though I was just talking about traveling, this question can be about any place. So this is open to people who have never traveled out of Singapore before. Okay, and they've only ever, Singmeng, can you stop? Thank you very much. Okay, so they've only ever stayed in Singapore. So please follow on with that. Okay, so think about it. I'm going to ask some of you to respond. So you don't know who it's going to be. You better be prepared. Yes, Martin?
I would like to share the experience about me going to Kunming, Lijiang.
Okay, stop. Okay, I'll let you answer shortly, but I remind all of you, if I call on you to answer, you must follow the structure. You must follow trees. It's there in front of you, right? You must follow it, okay? And I want you to practice following it. And the rest of you who are listening, I want you to practice following them, tracking their ideas, whether they've covered every alphabet. Because how you track it will be how you use it. If you're able to track it, you can use it. Okay? But if you don't know how to track it, you don't know what the person talking about, right? You won't be able to use it yourself. Okay? So we'll have Martin start first about his trip to Kunming, Dali, okay? In a short while, okay? By the way, has anybody been to Kunming or Dali? No? Okay, so this will be new to all of you. We will listen and learn from Martin in his trip. All right, but Martin, please prepare yourself to answer using trees. You follow every element and then try not to miss anything out. If you do, we will point it out to you later. Okay? And I want all of you to be prepared to point out if anything is missed out. Okay? Now, do you remember how many reasons I recommend? 3. Yeah. But can you do less, more? Can. Okay? It's just a recommendation. If you only have one reason, then too bad, or you only have one reason. Okay? But try to come up with at least 2 or 3 so that, you know, you can say firstly, secondly, lastly. Otherwise, you know, it's one reason is very lonely. Okay? Not very strong. At least 2 or 3. Okay? 2 is better than 1. Okay? All right. Martin, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Martin, tell me about a new place you visited.
I think I have visited Kunming, Tai, and Li.
Stop. What's wrong with Martin's response? Arthur?
He said, I think.
Yes. How can you think that you visited? No, right? You must be certain. I visited. If you think you visited, then did you visit it in a dream? Was it real or was it false? Cannot. You must be very certain. So you cannot blindly use think because I put the word think there. So you cannot. See, I put in red, I visited, right? Please don't, I think I visited. If you think, then who knows, right? For sure. If you don't even know what you visited, then who else knows? Please don't do that, because the teacher will form an impression of you. Hey, this person not even sure about his own answer. Please don't answer that way. Martin, one more time. Tell me about a new place you visited. Go.
I have visited Dali, Lijiang, and Kunming during my second trip to China. I like the trip because firstly, it is pretty fun. Secondly, I get to learn more about the Chinese culture. And lastly, I have been learning about my culture and religion.
Stop. Martin, your second and third reason sound the same. Do you all agree with me? Second and third reason sound the same. Please don't repeat the same reason and try to pass it off as a third reason. If you only have 2 reasons, it's okay. Just 2 reasons is fine. You don't have to force a third. Okay? Try again. Start from because. Start from because.
Because firstly, it is pretty fun. And secondly, I've been learning more about the Chinese culture. I remember a similar experience that I went to Shanghai and Hangzhou. I also watched on YouTube some places of recommendation in Dali, Lijiang, and Kunming. I suggest that we could change it. I suggest that we can change. I suggest that everybody can visit China to learn more about the culture there because it's quite nice here.
Good save. Carry on. Finish off.
In summary, my China trip was epic and very good altogether.
Yay, good job. Yay, everybody applause. Okay. Not a bad attempt. At least you went through everything, but a bit skimpy. You know what I mean by skimpy? A bit skeletal. Can afford to give more details. What part do you all think Martin could have spent more time developing? Anybody? What part could he have added more to? Okay. Please raise your hands. If you know what, or you suggest to Martin how he can make it even better. Arthur, start with you.
He could include more, he could make his reasons more specific.
More specific. Which reason? The fun one, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, when he said it because it was fun. Does fun tell me anything? No, right? So avoid using general words like nice, cool, great, awesome, fun, because none of these words have any information at all. I cannot picture what you mean by awesome or cool or cute or fun or nice. Nothing. What I want to hear is detail. Why was it fun? Oh, I went on a 30-story bungee jump. Right, and then as I fell down, I could see, the blood rush to my head, and my hair all was flying all over the place, and it was thrilling. I thought I was gonna die. Right, that's detail. That was fun. That was super fun. Okay, or I was taking this road right around the mountain, and the road was so narrow that I felt I was gonna fall off at any moment, and there was a cliff on my left side, and there was a gigantic truck coming at me from the right, and I thought I was gonna die, but thankfully we managed to squeeze through that narrow road, and we managed to make it to Lijiang safely. That's exciting. Details, very good. Specific details. Thank you, Arthur. That's great. What else could have been improved? What else could he have added more of? Tinker?
Like what he said, he experienced he got a similar experience when
Yes.
he visited
Yes.
Shanghai and
Shanghai. Hangzhou, right?
yeah, and you can be more specific.
Again, very good. What about Shanghai? What about Hangzhou? Shanghai, Hangzhou, huge places, millions of things to do there, mention one or two, right? Shanghai, I went to the space, I went to the what is it? The Zhengzhou, the Pearl Tower, right? I climbed to the top, and then I saw the beautiful view of the Shanghai Bund, right? Or I went to the Shanghai Natural History Museum, and it was awesome. I saw the picture of the gigantic fish floating in the air. That kind of stuff, right? Give details. Yes, Arthur?
Suggestions.
Suggestions? What about it?
He could like improve it.
How?
For example, he could like not stammer that much, and he could like
Okay, no lah, don't talk about style lah. Style is different, okay? We are going to be nervous, we're going to stammer, and the teacher's not going to fault you for that, okay? It's okay, right? But yes, I agree, suggestion could be further improved, more in terms of content, right? Okay, yes, Dylan? Sorry, I don't want to talk too much. Dylan?
Like he can like add more details to like the conclusion part.
Okay, the conclusion part, meaning which part of the conclusion?
That means like he could say like why was it like epic? Like which part did he like the most?
Or when he talked about how it was epic and it was a wonderful trip,
Yeah.
maybe you could have given a summary of some of the highlights of why it was epic or why it was amazing. Okay, that's fine, good. Did you also remember that when he talked about the example, he talked about YouTube? Do you remember? Then he said he watched on YouTube some highlights, right? Some highlights about countries like was it sorry, Martin, can you refresh my memory? What do you talk about in terms of YouTube?
I talked about some good places to visit there.
Highlights, is it? Did you mention about highlights?
No, it's something like attractions.
Yeah, attractions, right? On YouTube, that you watch on YouTube, correct? Is that right, Martin? YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, so when you talk about YouTube, right, be specific. What do I mean by specific? Who produced that video? Maybe your favorite YouTuber, right? What was it about? Maybe this particular part of China. What was he covering? The food, the culture, the language, the practices of the people there? Okay, be more specific. So what does all of these points for information come together? Details, people, details. Be more specific. Is that clear? Avoid using general terms like fun, awesome. Avoid just giving labels like Hangzhou, Shanghai. Go into detail. What happened in Hangzhou? What was so great about Shanghai? Right? What is so nice or awesome or epic about your trip? Always go into details. Is that clear? Details are literally what give you points. The more details you inject, the more points I will give to you. And the more specific you are, the more informative you are, the better you will do. Clear, everybody? So the second question is always about your experience. And the more specific you are in your experience, the more you're able to bring in your own personal experience and your own feelings and thoughts, right? The more powerful your second question will be. So first question is anchored in a picture, but you can already start to talk about yourself. Second question is purely about you. You, okay, yourself, Okay, then the third question and the last one, and I'm going to end here for you all to think about, is about everybody else, right? Everybody, do you think it's important for everybody to travel? So it's going to be going beyond yourself. It's going to go into everybody else. So this is generalities. And I'm going to stop here because I promised you I would stop by about 3:45, right? It's already 3:47 now. But the idea is the same. Do you all understand what Mr. Bang is trying to say? In the next few weeks, months, I want you to be so familiar with this structure that you eat, sleep, breathe, and speak it. You don't even need to look at this. You are able to talk to me like that. When I look at you, you should be able to TREES me, right? You should be able to throw the entire tree at me. Is that clear? And not only remember certain parts of it. Do you think you can do this by, say, end of August? Is that enough time? Can or not? Then along the way, right, I will structure one-on-one oral sessions with you. And then this will be the basis for my measurement of how familiar you are with it. I'm going to use the same structure. I'm going to expect the same thing from you, your ability to respond based on it. But I'm not going to show you the structure anymore. You have to memorize it. Can you memorize it? Not just TRES, but T, thoughts, opinions, I think, I feel, I believe. Reasons, because, firstly, secondly, lastly. Experiences, I remember a similar experience, activity, a similar event happening. Examples, I heard, read, watched, experienced, same thing. Suggestions, I suggest that we could memorize all of that and use those headers when you answer a question. Any question. Mommy asks you, would you like to go to the new IKEA that just opened up near Hougang? Yes, I would love to do so because firstly, secondly, you know what I mean? Right? You should be able to use the same structure talking to your parents. Even your parents think you're weird, right? It's okay, right? Tell them Mr. Bang said so. It's good for your practice, okay? Even if it sounds overly formal, they're like, why are you talking like that, boy? Why are you talking like that, girl? You're weird. Tell them, sorry, it's for practice, okay? Mr. Bang said must practice, okay? So even if you ask, hey, dear Yowa, boy, you want to have fish for dinner tonight? I think that it would be a great idea because firstly, fish are nutritious and give my brain a boost. Secondly, fish are delicious and they are wonderful sources of omega-3. Thirdly, and lastly, I think that fish are a sustainable source of protein and we should therefore support the eating of fish for dinner. My experience is last week we had fish and when I finished eating the fish, my brain felt like it was on fire. I was so intelligent, I couldn't believe it. Therefore, I think that it's a great experience and I want to repeat that experience again. I heard from my friend Sing Meng that she ate fish continuously for 3 days and I think her IQ went up by 10. So it was a great experience for her. So I think I should do the same thing so that my IQ will also increase. Finally, I suggest that all families in Singapore should eat fish for dinner. In conclusion, fish is great for your health. So we should eat fish for dinner tonight. Mommy/Daddy, thank you. Okay, everybody? Universally applicable, sounds silly, sounds weird, but it works, okay? And then when you sit in front of the examiner, it will come out like water. It will be so easy, right? Then the examiner will be like, please stop, please stop. I already gave you full marks. Why are you still talking? Please, enough. Okay, that's the kind of state that you want to be in, right? Where you're giving more than is required and you've exceeded the expectations of the examiner or of the person you're talking to. Okay, everybody? I cannot emphasize enough the power of structure, right? All the primary 6 students I tested, some of them were not very good in English, like I said, right? You all know, but they were getting 31, 32 upon 35, right? And they were not, like from the best classes or they had very good English, none of that. But because they had good structures and they were very consistent in applying those structures, they did very well indeed. And I awarded them above 30 marks upon 35 for their performance. The same can be true for you. And you have 1 extra year. They are in primary 6, you are in primary 5. You have more time. Okay, so take this time, familiarize yourself with it, practice it all the time. Anytime someone asks you a question, use trees. And then if you're not sure, right, talk to me. I will teach you how to use it better. Okay, I will introduce you different techniques to extend trees even more if you want to. But even if you use the basic form, it's good enough for you to get a very decent grade. Okay, so everybody, that's it for today. If you have any questions, stay behind. If not, I will send out the video. You all can review it again. I know I talk very fast. You can slow it down. Okay, I'll send the slides to you all as well. Okay, thank you. I'll see you all on Monday.
Bye.
Give some thought to
See you
what
on
you said.
Monday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye, Mr. Pang.
Just searching.